Hello, welcome to Eat Art Space, and I am here live with artist Steve Denton, and we're in his studio.
Hi, everybody.
So today we get to tour around and take a look at everything that he has been working on lately.
And over the years.
So, Steve, where would you like us to start? I'll flip the camera around and we can just take a little walk around for a minute here.
Well, this is a piece I just finished yesterday. I happened to meet Mr. Russ at a grocery store. He lost his phone and I was helping him find it. And since we're both old geezers, we couldn't bend down to get it. Mm-hmm. But he finally figured out it was in his car. But what I didn't know about him was he was the first black player at ETSU.
What did he play?
Played football.
Oh, okay.
And you had to be really three times as good as a white player to get a space on a football team in this area in that era. But he was very nice. Even though the university does not have a plaque up, or the city does not have a plaque
view
up,
of this here.
I wanted to commemorate that for him, and I'm going to give this, if he likes it, I'm going to give this to his family.
Oh.
Because I don't want to be accused of exploiting anybody for their life's work.
Yeah.
Or a white man being accused of exploiting a black person.
So you just finished this piece yesterday. This is a wonderful piece.
Yes.
And a very nice homage.
I still need to seal it, but it's basically done.
Nice.
And I've learned to put my signature in pieces where they can't be cropped off and someone else can claim my art.
Ah, tips for young artists. Can we talk about National Bird Night 1970? And
yes.
This is one that I'm noticing, since I know your work pretty well, you haven't actually painted any of your signature birds on this piece.
Well,
how do you decide how to...
This was my view. 1970, I was 8 years old. And my sister, Linda, had been hit by a car.
Oof.
And sorry.
No, it's okay. That's a hard thing. Did she pass away? She passed away.
Yes.
That's a huge loss.
Can you imagine losing Irene?
No. I can't. So is this piece for her?
This represents my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And there she is saying goodbye to Linda.
That's very sweet.
And here's the car that killed her. I never held.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I never held a grudge against the guy driving because it was an accident. But it just crushed my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a year and a half later, she was killed on an operating table.
Wow.
When I was 10. So this is what I remember from Detroit.
Okay.
This is the project we lived in. This bird down here looking up the girl's dress. That represents me because I got caught looking up a girl's dress.
Oh my.
I mean, I was 8 years old. I was curious, you know.
Right.
This represents the Vietnam War.
The bomb buster.
Yeah, and I didn't know what goes on in grown-ups' houses, so
So this is a deeply autobiographical piece.
Yes. But now when I started organizing these, for our previous attempt at this, I realized I didn't make one for 1972, but anyway.
Oh man, so these are all the National Bird Nights.
Well, no, these are National Bird Night Alternative History of the 1970s.
Okay.
This represents phony America, love it or leave it, patriotism under Nixon.
Okay.
And the conservatives. This represents Bird Night 1975. Do you know what redlining is?
Yes.
Well, you can see the huge red line and all the black birds on one side, and the white birds got plenty of room. More than enough room to share. But because of greedy corporations and banks, which are parasites, they kept black people down. Here's Bird Night 1973. Now, if you notice, there's two crows with only two legs. This represents the rise of the women's movement. She's starting to get up and realize that she's been held down by the patriarchy. I don't mean religious patriarchy.
Just generally.
Yes, and there she is marching confidently towards the future. I painted it yellow and put a green ink wash on it, let it dry, stenciled the letters, and added the birds. Here's 1974. We were finding out in 1974 that our government was spying on us.
Okay.
FBI, and that cross-dresser J. Edgar Hoover.
So you're thinking...
I felt like a target in 1974 because I had to go and live with my abusive aunt and uncle and their children who bullied me. So I felt like I had a target on my back, and many Americans had a target on their back then.
So you're thinking about events in American history that you lived through and how they intersect with your personal history, all in these pieces.
It's an alternative history. This part of it is an alternative history of the 1970s. This represents the bicentennial and more phony patriotism in 1976. We're still recovering from Nixon and all that crap.
Oh, and here's... These are very clear.
Yes.
I'm just going to zoom in on the faces here. Got relaxed spirits, head high, communist with the red eyes.
There was a lot going on, a lot of political violence from our own country and European countries. There were a lot of political kidnappings and things, especially in Italy and Germany. So that's why I use the ransom note style lettering.
Okay.
And this...
Oh my goodness.
Represents
the
oncoming AIDS epidemic. It's a glitter ball. These are CDs I've smashed and made into a ball.
Like a disco ball, or is it?
Yeah, a disco ball, yeah. And I love the way that every time you move, they take on a different color. So it's not one color all the time. And we lost so many people.
Yes.
Because of religious and political bigotry. This is 1979. The walls were everywhere. The Berlin Wall. The rich were starting to put up gated communities to keep us out. And these birds up here were drawn by a friend of mine's daughter. Who I had made a painting for. Inspired by her. And so I took them to Kinko's and had them copied and made them different colors. And they're birds sitting on top of the metaphorical wall or physical wall, however you want to respond. And Elvis is King is a nod to Elvis Costello, one of my personal musical heroes. So that's basically...
That's the alternative history of
the 1970s.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
you don't read about it in history in American schools because they don't want to tell that story. Now here's some national bird nights that I've made that aren't overtly political or anything.
They're very abstracted.
Yes, you can see that these are scratches that look like birds when you get up on them,
Mm-hmm.
and bold strokes.
Just trying to avoid a reflection here.
Sure. And once well, let me show you. See if I can find it.
Which one? So look at all. I'm just gonna take a little
Sure.
glance around the studio. Do you primarily work on an easel, or do you work on
No, I
your
hang 'em on the
tables? You hang
wall.
them on the wall right here.
Yeah.
Very nice. And you have a convenient sink right next to
Well-
your workspace.
Not really, because after we bought this house, we did not know that the water downstairs ran out the back.
Oh, I see.
And when the woman behind us had her line redone, they disconnected our water.
Oh no!
And we found out the hard way
Oh,
when the toilet was overflowing.
oh mercy.
Uh,
That's awful.
I'll find that. Yeah, it is.
Oh jeez.
I'll find that picture in a minute. This is what I imagine Bird Night 1929 would be.
Roaring 20s
Yes, before the Depression.
before the crash.
Yeah. Initially, these women were topless, but I decided that's where I was going to work the bird angle in.
I like that. That's a fun play.
Thank you. And this is, I decided National Bird Night could also be worldwide.
Yes.
This is National Bird Night Sweden. I have a friend in Sweden, and she confirmed that was a good, accurate translation.
What a wonderful friend to help you out with the project.
I was happy with that.
Yes.
This one is a National Bird Night 1961.
Well, and I love these ladies.
It represents, the central figure represents my mother and my other sister, Sandra,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister, Linda, who never got past the age of 9.
Mercy. I love these ones. I remember this painting.
This is my original National Bird Night. This is a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and I didn't think any more about it. I told you the story at your reception that they used to have a Norwegian National Knitting Night. So I decided to make up a holiday about birds,
Yeah.
and that was the first one. The original is somewhere in here, might be in here.
Oh my goodness! Look,
Yeah.
there's paintings upon paintings.
Yeah, it might be in here
little
or another
Wow.
storage place I use. I'm very prolific. I used to be a performer, but I had to stop after my heart attack.
Yeah.
So this is my way of performing.
Yes.
Again, we talked about this piece.
This is the January 6th quote.
Yeah, Trump said they're not here to hurt me, so let them through.
Mercy.
But they are here to hurt you. White supremacy is terrorism. In case, for your younger viewers, my shirt was the slogan of the original Black Panthers. And the media has brainwashed people into thinking that the Black Panthers were bad. But for people like me, who lived in the projects of Detroit, the Panthers were out to help all working people.
Mm.
All people terrorized by the police.
Oh wow.
This is my childhood baseball idol, Willie Horton.
Mm-hmm.
He was a chunky little black man who could pound the ball like nobody's business. And in George, the first awful Bush president, and his team found a Willie Horton who had been released from prison on early parole, and so I always hated that, and they used that against Michael Dukakis. They demonized the name Willie Horton, but Willie Horton, against the advice of management of the Detroit Tigers, put on his uniform and went into the streets during the riots of 1967 to help calm down. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
To help calm down rioters. Now, this is my second National Bird Night painting. I had watched a documentary about a bird whose tongue is about 3 times as long as its beak, so it could get down into flowers to get the nectar out. And I imagined it as a Gillian Welch album cover. Are you familiar with
yes,
her?
Yes, I am familiar with her.
With the old style Peter Pan collar.
Yes.
And these are real buttons here.
Let me get that detail.
And this is when I realized that I could take National Bird Night in many, 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 many different directions.
Yeah, you could go deep with it.
Yes. Sorry about the mess.
No, every artist studio is a bit of a mess.
Back here are some more of my abstract works. This collage of old record albums.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a long time, but I think I finally like this one. You know how that is. You make something and not sure whether you like it or not.
Well, some of them snap together really easily, and some of them don't.
I left the spaces because I liked a little bit of white in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is you asked me at the reception what my influences are.
Yes. Yes.
One of my influences is album art from mid-century albums.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an abstract piece called "The Night the Drummer Went and Lost His Damn Mind."
Your titles are very humorous in many ways.
A title of the work is part of the work.
Mm.
It's not out there by itself. It's part of the work.
So do people who make their work untitled, or they number it, does that bother you,
no,
or is it just...
Every artist can do what they like. That's not my business.
You're very open.
This is just... I wanted to make a abstract, but it ended up being kind of like... you can see the mother figure here
Mm-hmm.
with her child and grandchild.
Mm. Can you tell me about this piece? I mean, sometimes
piece right here?
not very many people incorporate typography into their work. And so how do
This piece is an anti-capitalist piece, as you can see. They never, ever, 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 ever get enough.
Uh-huh.
So he's constantly eating money, women, whatever they can get.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, it pisses me off.
Well, and okay, so I see you using the Powerball.
Yes, I could.
The lottery.
Yes.
Tickets.
If I make a shape I like, I use it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see those stars in different works of mine. And I like using found objects like play money, because everyone can relate to board games.
Yeah.
Well, younger people now can relate to video games. I made this one to
Okay.
counter all those white liberals who say, "Oh, I don't see skin color." Yes, you do.
Yeah.
We all see skin color.
Mm-hmm.
And we all kiss, we all love, and we all poop. And we all see skin color. Stop lying about it. Here's a National Bird Night Historical, 1901.
Oh, wow.
Whose side are you on? This bird represents capitalist bosses keeping down workers. I don't know if you've ever read 1984.
Yes, I have.
But one of the... Orwell says that the stovepipe hat was the symbol of capitalism.
Huh. Ooh, do you need some
No,
help?
that's okay.
Okay, we don't have to move.
No, that's fine. It's all good. This may offend some of your viewers, but this is a parody of gospel albums that you find in this area where women...
So it's like an LP cover.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And you can roughly divide my work into National Bird Night or Surrealism or what I call the Body Impossible, where you can see this man...
Is this the Body Impossible?
This is one of those, yeah, well... I mean, you can tell there's no way this human being
Okay, I'm
could
just gonna get closer
exist in a world, our world, with a tiny head and those huge misshapen hands.
Well, you talk about influences, and I think about Picasso and Matisse and sort of the abstract, figurative.
Well,
works.
everybody's body is different.
Mm-hmm.
Even identical twins are different in some way. So that's just kind of a nod to that. I'm fond of 3-word phrases. I like saying a lot with as little bit as I can. And I like the incongruity of using them with different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are supposed to be baseball players' shoes, and there's his socks. And you'll see this star in a lot of my work because, once again, I make shape. If I like it, I'll use it over and over again.
And is it something that you like the meaning of it, or you just like the way
like,
it looks?
I like repetition.
You like repetition.
I like the repetition in my art.
Oh my, this is very different.
This says "No beer for robots" in Russian. I started out blocking off squares with masking tape and painting and repainting. By the time I got done, it looked to me like a robot. One of my biggest influences when I was a kid was science fiction books and covers and comic books.
Yes,
Now,
tell me.
I made these two in response to school shootings.
Mm.
And as soon as I posted this one on Instagram, some gun-loving jackhole, of course, tried to left a comment. "Do you know how state gun laws work, idiot?" So I blocked him. I mean, I'm sick and tired of gun nuts and school shootings. Can you imagine sending your children off to school and then being shot to death because somebody thinks he has a right to carry a gun? How would that make you feel?
I don't know how to answer that. That's a really hard question.
Well, I can tell you, you'd be outraged. This is the one about...
This is about your work, Steve.
This is, well, you're the viewers.
Yeah.
So this is about the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. This represents the plague of guns in our society.
Mm.
The brown woman crying for losing her children, while white politicians like Marsha Blackburn and that horrible other senator we have taking money from the NRA while blood runs off it.
Huh. These are very powerful.
Thank you. This is rules for modern living, what I call it.
Don't not be pretty. Keep consuming. Never stop working. Pretend to be normal. That about sums it up.
Yeah. And here's another reason why I know local gallery will touch me. Because they don't want to offend people who are fans of capitalism. When there are very few capitalists. And there's a huge difference between capitalism and commerce. You and I engage in commerce. A capitalist hoards money like Elon Musk, and they treat people like crap. But no gallery in this area will ever show this.
Well, but tell me about the symbols.
That is something that I had carved out. Years ago, I made like hundreds of free art cards to pass out. Like, here's an example of those.
And where did you leave them?
I would leave them in library books or grocery store bulletin boards. And I had friends across the world who helped me. I had a friend in Australia who spread some down there, a friend in England, my friend in Sweden, I had a friend in Denmark, California, Canada, all over the world, Nicaragua.
I just noticed your Elvis Costello album over here.
That was one of the first albums I ever bought with my own money.
Oh, that's wonderful.
He's one of my musical heroes. In fact, I've got
Oh,
one.
and this is Jason Flack's work, who I mentioned before.
Okay.
Who is...
I really like the color and the robots.
Yeah, he loves it. So I'm also noticing your books in your library over here. Is this, like, how do you use your library and other source materials? Where do you like...
I like to look and see what other artists are making.
Yeah.
And when I see that no other artist is making things like I make, I know I'm on the right track. I'm not... It's no slam against anybody who went to art school.
Nope.
But all those people who went to art school, their stuff is just... Again, no slam at you.
I can take it.
Good. It looks formulaic and gallery ready, and it just doesn't look authentic to me.
So being authentic and true to yourself is one of the values in your work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I make art. I don't make art with an eye to selling it.
Okay.
Because everything doesn't have to be monetized. I make art because I want to, and because there's no one to stop me.
It's a great attitude.
Aeroflot was the Russian airline in 1977. Well, until the breakup of the Soviet Union.
Okay, so I want to get real close in here.
And as you can see, I used bottle caps for her earrings.
Is that a watch?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is not paint. This is paper.
Yeah. Paper, and it's mixed all kinds of things. And you can tell there's...
Well, and sometimes it's hard to tell on the screen, and so it's important to draw attention to it, because otherwise people are going to be like, oh. So all of the patterning, not all of it, but unless it's painted texture, you're sourcing paper patterns from somewhere. And you buy paper, or you copy it?
No, I buy scrapbook paper. In fact, I've got some over here. I'll show you in a minute. But this was I was going to originally put this in Welsh because I like Wales, and they're an oppressed country by the British. Yet another oppressed country by the British. But the Welsh language is just incredibly hard, and lots of consonants that have vowel sounds, and so I decided to go ahead and use English. This one I was just experimenting with how to put paint on a canvas differently. So I spread the yellow first, and then I took a card and spread the red. And then I added the shoes, because to me it looks like a pair of legs. And we can speak Russian if you like. That comes from a British game show that had a contestant it was a celebrity version, and he speaks fluent, British celebrity, speaks fluent Russian and starred in a Russian program. So that's where that came from.
Wow.
This is a piece I made in an homage to a former acquaintance's daughter. She wanted to be an artist, and he put a picture of her skipping rope or jumping. And I imagined her, and you know how children love to run?
Mm-hmm.
This explores all the meanings of the word, some of the meanings of the word run. You can run the table, run this town, run for office, run out of steam, run and jump, run around, run home. And this is what I call the strong man who overcame his anxieties. As you can see, there's no way this man can be a strong man or operate in our society because of the way he looks. His short arms, his strange little legs. That's a body impossible.
Mm-hmm. What strikes me as I'm listening to you, Steve, is that your influences are pulled from so many personal sources that could be happenstance, that you're on the alert for things, and when things grab you, you run with them.
Unlike a lot of people, I pay attention. That's the single most important thing you can ever do, is pay attention.
So tell me, as we're going through some of these, tell me a little bit about what you would tell a young artist who's just starting out.
Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Stop letting people say you're the next Picasso. There'll never be another Picasso. You are the next artist. Don't listen to people who tell you that your art is bad. Screw them. Make art.
That's all you got to do.
This is based on another National Bird Night film based on historical. Have you ever seen a film called Black Robe?
I have not had the chance.
It's about Canada in like the 17th century.
Huh.
When French Catholic monks and priests came to try to convert the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
They were very severe looking people, and in Montreal in 1967 they had a National World's Fair, which nearly bankrupted the city of Montreal.
I was not aware of that.
Yes, and then in 1972, or 76, one of those, they had Olympic Games, which nearly bankrupted the city of Montreal again.
They just can't get it right, can they?
No, they don't learn.
Okay, what's Makba? National Bird Night Makba.
That is the Russian word for Moscow.
Ah! So English and Russian.
Yes, I like the various reds.
Mm-hmm.
And just a ghost of a bird through the Russian smog. And then here's some new ones I've made.
Oh my goodness. And that's, Christchurch, New Zealand.
Yes. And if you look at it this way, you can see the traditional Maori tattoo on the bird.
Huh.
But
Wow.
Christchurch is in the bottom of the southern island of New Zealand.
Okay.
And they don't get a lot of love because they're down there. The southern island is mainly farming and winter sports and outdoor stuff. So I thought I'd give Christchurch a little love.
Aw, I'm sure they're thankful.
I'm sure they are. I have a friend on Instagram. She's a very fine oil painter from Wicklow, Ireland. So I imagine that this is what...
You've got a ballet tutu in there.
Yes, that's from a magazine my friend Emily Ann Thompson. Shout out to Emily Ann.
Shout out to Emily Ann.
She gave me a bunch of modern dance magazines from like the 1970s, when it was still printed on newsprint style. But she knows I love that kind of thing, so she gave it to me. And this one I call National Bird Night Planetary.
Into space.
Yeah.
It's going into space.
They're looking at the blood red moon.
Which we just had one recently.
Yep.
Total eclipse.
And these letters were from a board game called Wembley about British football.
Okay.
Here's some of my earlier work. This is based on my first.
So tell me, when did you decide to start?
Well, I've always on and off made things, and I didn't think they were very good, or I wasn't very confident. But after my heart attack, Angela and I went on vacation one year to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and we drove back, and we stopped in Durham. Came the long way back home because July 4th was on a Monday or a Sunday, so she got that Monday off. So it was like getting an extra day of vacation.
Mm.
But we stopped in Durham, and we went to a bookstore, and I picked up a lot of art magazines, and one that had a big impression on me was Raw Vision.
Mm.
It's about artists self-taught artists, basically. And I thought, well, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started making art.
So what year was this?
This would have been like 1998, 99.
Okay. And this piece is from when?
This piece was probably from that era.
Okay.
Earliest era. Although she didn't have gray hair, it represents my kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
You never forget your first grade or your kindergarten teacher.
No, that's so funny, isn't it?
I know, it's crazy. And as you can see, I've used blocks, children's blocks, kind of as stamps.
Is that French?
It's from a French porn magazine. I don't know what it says.
Oh my. So, what are the most important pieces in these piles, since we've got only a few minutes left? Or what would you like to highlight the most? Highlight the most out of these. What were you most excited about?
Well, I'm excited about all of them. I mean,
Right.
Here's another influence from my childhood. Those crazy.
These go
see.
together. Oh.
Yeah, it's a triptych. It's my idea of what those science fiction magazines like Analog
Oh my gosh.
would print.
Like the monsters or the
They're
aliens?
they're space aliens, and then he's got his space-powered boots, like Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put a purple enough wash on this, like I did on the bottom two, so they kind of.
Oh, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, that's on me.
Just don't point it out.
Well, no, I don't care.
This texture feels pretty incredible over here. It's really interesting.
That's this one, you mean?
Yeah.
That's my self-portrait. One of my self-portraits. I just put
former boy genius.
Yeah. I put paint on a card and scraped it down. And then did the stenciling.
Wow.
That's about as close to a self-portrait as you're going to get.
From you.
Yeah, I've got other ones.
Oh my goodness.
This is another body impossible. Because if his head was this big, could you imagine the size of the body that would have to carry?
And he almost looks like a cyclops, too.
Kind of, but yeah, well, both of his eyes are on the same side of his head.
Right. I love touring your studio, Steve, because you really get a sense of the scale at which you work. So
I like this one a lot because it's, again, white people trying to deny racism. Well, I didn't see it. Well, of course you didn't see it because you were participating in it, even though you didn't know you were doing it. But the white girl saying, I didn't see it, but the black girl saying, I did. I don't know if your kids do scouts or not, but I have a
I'm
friend,
familiar with the scouts.
I have a friend whose son was very interested until they started trying to brainwash him with religion.
So these are on wood. What made you...
I basically, a friend of mine commissioned me to do a piece of work that was like to go into a specific part of his house, pardon me. But it was very long, so I had a lot of wood left over, so I sawed it in half and made these. And working on wood is fine, but how do you hang them up? So I put strips of wood on the back to hang them up. This painting here is a mermaid. You're getting two views at once. Her top, her tail, and her face. Here's another. I like animals, but my lovely girlfriend is not so keen on having cats or dogs, so I have to make.
So you make your animal friends.
Pardon?
You make animal friends.
Sure. You can say that.
Well, this is all really, really amazing.
Thank you very much. You're too kind.
Can I ask you?
I'd like to show you this one.
Oh, this one? Yeah, boy?
Well, we took care of Angela's parents until they died. And this was her father's favorite expression.
Oh.
If you asked him, would you like to go for a drive? He said, yeah, boy. So after his death, I decided to commemorate him by making this.
Oh.
Because my parents died young. And the people who were supposed to be my parents bullied me, and their children bullied me. And so her parents were the only real parents I ever really knew.
That's a beautiful gift. That's
Thank
a
you.
beautiful gift.
This painting is about the Ukrainian war.
Oh, yes.
And it says, no war but class war.
Mm.
And I traced that sketch from a comic book, which was a huge influence, and painted the Ukrainian flag colors on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I can't tell you the story behind it
That's
because
okay.
it would embarrass some friends. This was just an exercise in using grids and things
And textures.
textures, and that's kind of a self-portrait of me. I made this sketch years ago, and what I would do is I would sketch on 11 by 16 paper, make the sketch, the watercolor, whatever, and then take it to Kinko's, I'm dating myself, and shrink it by 75% so I could scan it and put it online. And then I started going through those, and I decided I could use those in my own work since they're my own sketches.
Yeah. Yeah.
This painting is an attempt to deal with my post-traumatic stress syndrome of being attacked by Dr. Jeff Schoondike at Caring Hearts Cardiology.
Oh, mercy.
And that son of a bitch attacked me while I was having an anxiety attack. Pardon my language.
Wow.
I was having an anxiety attack, and he grabbed me by my throat, slammed me against the wall, and pulled his fist back. I'm having a lot of trouble processing that attack.
Yeah.
I filed a formal complaint against Dr. Jeff Schoondike. Here's one where I like to use, I like to use found objects. Those are actually beer bottle caps.
Huh.
And I'm sorry, let me remove this.
No,
This is for my
fine.
physical therapy for my frozen shoulder. I met a fellow at the recycling station, and I could see he was throwing away someone's art and posters from what I can only assume was his family getting rid of things at an estate sale. I said, excuse me, sir, do you mind if I have a look at what you've got there? He said, go right ahead. I said, do you mind if I take these? He said, no, go right ahead. So I incorporated them into this piece, which is still unfinished. I met a fellow at the RobCon who bills himself as a professional Dwight Schrute imitator from The Office. He's a very nice fellow, and after he makes whatever he needs to make for his table, he donates all his profits to his local animal shelter.
Huh.
So I was more than happy to give him a few dollars and get that in return. And I'm currently working on this piece as well. As I said, we can all relate to board games.
Ooh, wow.
This is the game of the lies they told us in school. You're starting out with wig-wearing rapists, slave owners, know what's best for everyone.
Okay.
Because your founding fathers, they love to, oh, the founding fathers, oh, what did they mean? Oh, the founding fathers. Well, they didn't want women to vote. They didn't want black people to vote. They wanted to keep people down.
It's kind of ironic that I have feelings about this one.
Yes. I mean, it's a lie. Women are too emotional to vote. It's a lie. American exceptionalism is a lie. We're exceptional at being horrible to other people. Fred Hampton, Angela Davis, two personal heroes.
Huh.
You have to know.
It's still in progress.
What I like about this is you have to know history and not the John Birch Society history they want to teach in Tennessee schools. Mm-hmm. For instance, do you know what this is? Domino theory. Domino theory.
I've heard that term.
It's said that if Vietnam ever fell to communism, that means the whole area was going to fall.
Oh,
to
that's
communism,
right. That it would just spread all around.
Which was a vicious Cold War propaganda lie.
I'm just going to look at all of this work.
And over there, you can see that underneath the two
this
dogs.
Tiny one, Politburo Records.
Politburo Records presents Dick Jones' Nomenclatura.
Jazz Bureaucrats.
Jazz for Bureaucrats. Now, Nomenclatura was Soviet bureaucrats. And that's a play on Nome and Nomenclatura and mid-century record albums. Which, as you can see, I've got plenty more. And we've got a whole wall of them upstairs. In fact, I have something I'd like to give you today.
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you. I was just going to tell everybody, can I tell everybody a little bit about your gallery show and make sure that they stop by?
Sure.
Okay. So, if you need artwork for your house, you can just contact this guy, Steve Denton, and come by and pick out one of these amazing paintings. But I'm also hosting some of his work alongside artist Yvonne Dalshin, who is from Oak Ridge. So we've got a Johnson City artist and an Oak Ridge artist together in my dining room. And we've got, those will be on view through November 30th. And you've already sold one.
Yay!
Yay! And
although I don't make art for sale, if somebody wants to buy it, I'm more than willing to sell it.
No, you need to buy work from him. He's anti-capitalist, but
I make art for myself. If you like it, that's fine. If you don't,
please
I
take
don't
some
give a
home.
crap.
Please take some home.
But I'd like to present you with this.
Thank you. Oh, I love the birds. Saint Aviana.
I will say one thing for Jocelyn.
Okay.
Her husband is a Greek Orthodox priest.
He is.
He's a very nice man. No Greek Orthodox person has ever knocked on my door and told me I'm going to hell if I don't believe. So my hat's off to her and him and their family.
You're very sweet.
They truly exemplify what Christianity is supposed to be like.
Thank you, Stephen.
Now you asked me earlier about...
Oh, one more thing.
About...
here's the scrapbook paper.
Yeah, this was all floral.
But you can get different kinds of patterns.
Oh, yeah, different kind. I have several different kinds, but...
See, this is where you cut your shapes out.
Yeah, for his work,
Uh-huh.
which I still need to call him and tell him I've made for him. I don't know how he's going to react.
Well, again, Steve, your show is up through November 30th, but of course you're making art all the time. So.
Well, especially now that I'm leery of going outside because I fear retaliation from Dr. Jeff Schoondike.
We can do, I would love to see a National Bird Night retrospective someday. That's my dream.
Well, I doubt you'll ever see it around here.
That's all right. We'll make it happen.
Because no gallery in town wants to show me, and I refuse to be in a gallery that requires me to pay.
We will figure out a way to make it happen because I want to make it happen. So anyway, that's my dream. If somebody wants to do National Bird Night with Steve Denton, let's hit me up. Steve, do you want to wave? Ravenworks Gallery says hello.
Listening. Thank you for listening.
My friend
to this
Richard Graves stopped by, and I saw a few other people peek on through. So
thank you.
Bye for now.